Amara Keynes Dumas is suing 3 Colorado Springs police officers for excessive use of force for an incident that occurred in October of 2020. Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver.
Well, hello.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going. Lots of true crime going on in this house today. I've
Right?
been down
Yeah.
multiple rabbit holes, and I think my head's still there, so I'm trying to come on back so we can actually get our recordings produced here. But yeah, there's a lot in my head. Wow.
I hear you. I have been watching The Watcher on Netflix. Have you seen that?
Oh, uh-huh.
I gotta say, they've taken some extreme creative license. Like, it's a TV show
Mm-hmm.
based on the story about the Watcher and the house,
Yeah,
it's a very famous story. We've covered it. You've probably
yeah,
heard of it before. This one's it's actually quite a lot scarier because a lot more happens, but
sure.
it's it's based on that story. It's pretty interesting.
I will not be watching that. Yeah.
Oh, you won't, huh?
Oh God.
No,
I'm the
you
biggest
can't
chicken
tolerate
alive. Yeah.
you can't tolerate it. No,
I
and there's
can't
a
hang.
really
No.
yeah, no, there's a part of it you would hate. So yeah,
Yeah, no,
probably
it's not
got it.
happening.
No,
Yeah. I've been watching reruns of Bones, and that's scary enough for me.
right there you go. Oh, I love
That'll do
bones.
it. Yep.
Okay, well, I know you're going to kick us off with a bit of the creepy crime.
Hmm. Speaking of watching Bones, just
Mhm.
recently I saw a really famous episode from that series where Dr. Brennan and two others are kidnapped and buried alive. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
were Bones fans or remember that episode, but it is scary as hell.
yes, yes, it
And
is.
the thought of being buried alive terrifies me beyond all thought. In fact, just going through COVID and having some days where I could not breathe, uh,
Mhm.
I had thoughts like that of how that would feel.
Oof.
So this case, particularly, I thought was terrifying. This
Yeah.
happened just recently in Washington. A woman uh, had a restraining order on her husband and was separated and in the process of trying to leave him, which in the domestic violence world we know is the absolute most dangerous time in a domestic violence relationship is when a woman or a man is trying to get out. And
For sure.
her soon to be ex husband came by her home and kidnapped her, duct taped her, drove her out into the woods, stabbed her, and buried her. She told police that
Mm.
from the hole she was in, she could hear him walking around the hole uh, and throwing dirt on top of her, burying
Oh
her,
my god.
and driving away. But she was conscious and had the presence of mind to start wiggling around, getting some air pockets, and
Mhm.
moving enough. And it took her hours, but she managed to claw her way out of her grave.
Oh.
She was in the middle of nowhere. She ended up walking, stabbed and injured for 20 to 30 minutes before she got to a home where she pounded on the door, told them that her husband was trying to kill her. They called the police. And of course, she was taken to the hospital with non life or threatening injuries, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And uh, then they found him. So just a few hours later, a hiker saw his van kind of off the trail, not too far from where this happened, and he was taken into custody and charged.
Mm.
So his name is Che Ann, and I'll show you a picture of him. So he is being charged with first degree assault with domestic violence, kidnapping with domestic violence, and attempted murder. And he's actually being held. This is in the Thurston County uh, Correctional Facility, and he's being held without bail.
Good.
Yep. Yep.
Working in domestic violence, I was amazed in years past when I would have someone whose abuser would get bail
Hmm.
after a major incident like that. Like, what are you doing? You're just going to let him
Hmm.
right back out so that he can go kill this person? Like,
Yeah.
awful.
And obviously, a restraining order didn't mean shit to him. He walked
No.
right through it.
Yeah.
There was actually an incident at the home earlier that day. The police were aware that something was up because neighbors had said they saw his van there and that they had heard a woman screaming in a struggle. So they
Mm,
were somewhat aware that something was going on, but hadn't found him.
mm,
Uh, but they easily could have found him and never found her had she not lived
right.
through this.
Right.
But what a baddie on her that she dug herself out of that hole and got herself to safety. And
Yeah.
now her children get to continue having a mother.
Yes. My
That is
God. But
so scary.
oh, the trauma of that. Oh,
Well, I hope that the convictions pile up for him and the sentencing piles up for him and that she never, ever has to worry about this fool again.
I know. Fingers crossed, right? Holy
Yeah,
cow.
some pretty serious stuff. Hopefully, it's enough to keep him
Most
behind
serious.
bars.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you know how our justice system is. I just hope it's enough to
I
keep him
do.
behind bars for a very long time to give
Right.
her a chance to recover and have a happy life without this nightmare.
Right. And her kids too. Give them a
Mhm.
long time before they have to deal with him in any way.
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
God.
without a
Horrifying.
doubt. So good on her for living, and Che, I hope that you go to prison forever.
Yeah. Here, here.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to turn the mic over to you for our main case.
Yes. You may have heard this story. It actually happened a couple of years ago. Amara Keynes Dumas
Hmm.
is a 17-year-old child in October of 2020. She was having a mental health emergency.
Hmm.
She was at her boyfriend's apartment complex. They were outside. They were arguing, she was yelling, she was very upset.
Hmm.
Someone called the police, and
Hmm.
so the police came, which this story is the poster child for why we need social workers, mental health professionals as a part of the police
Hmm.
to help when something like that goes on. So,
Yeah.
what happened is that when the police found her distraught outside, um, they she wasn't particularly cooperative with them. Now, let's be clear: she wasn't breaking the law.
Right.
Someone had called because she was yelling, but she wasn't
Hmm.
doing anything that should have involved arresting her.
Right.
When she was not cooperative with the police, and when they should have known, they should have been able to recognize a distraught teenager. You know,
Right.
I think we've all met them, we've all seen them, but
Yeah.
they didn't identify her as being that. She was just being difficult.
Hmm.
And so they put her in handcuffs and they wrestled her over to the car, threw her kind of up against the side of the car. She tries to get away. She's screaming, terrified, begging them to call her mother,
Hmm.
telling
And
them she's a
insisting
minor.
that she's a minor. Yeah.
Yes, that she's a minor. Please call my mom. They kind of threw her down on the ground and then got her back up, and then got her into the squad car. And she starts having a panic attack.
Yeah.
And she's hyperventilating and she's saying, I'm having a panic attack. I'm a minor. Please call my mom, over and over and over again. Well, what do the police do? Do they call her mom? Do they call an ambulance? Do they get her out of the car to try to help her breathe? No, they pepper spray her in the face twice and then they
Yeah.
close the door. So she is like hotboxing pepper spray for about
In the
10
car.
minutes
Yeah.
in the squad car.
When she already couldn't breathe.
She already couldn't breathe. She was hyperventilating and having a panic attack. So what's happening now is that Amara is now 19, and she is suing 3 Colorado Springs police officers
Mhm.
for excessive force,
Sure.
because she should be.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a video of part of the event. It doesn't have any sound, so I'll just sort of talk. We'll talk over it. Um, I didn't use sound because it's incredibly distressing. And any of you that are mothers, particularly, to hear a child scream and cry, and it's really upsetting to
And
listen
beg for
to.
her mother. Yeah.
It's awful. And I didn't think that was fair to do to people, you know.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about what's happening in the video rather than have the audio. So this is body cam. Well, actually, this part is a neighbor, I think, and then there's some body cam too. But see, they had her down there on the ground. They got her. They get her up against the side of the car. Then they get her on the ground. Then they get her inside and see she's handcuffed from behind. And this is where she's screaming and crying and begging them, telling them, you have my phone. Call my mom. I need my mom. Call my mom. And then she just starts hyperventilating. And oh, sorry, then we're done there. Um, it goes. The whole video is like 10 minutes. It's really upsetting. I cannot imagine if that were my own child
Hmm.
doing that. In that situation,
No.
any kid, it makes me absolutely sick. But for her own mother, I can't imagine.
I can't
So
understand why she's already cuffed and in the car, and now we're going to pepper spray her in the face
yeah,
twice? To
yeah.
what end?
A police
Why?
officer, an officer that sort of arrived at that moment, named Sergeant Gregory Wilhelmy,
Mhm.
um, walks up and says, "Has she been sprayed?" And another officer, Ryan Yoshimiya, says, "No, not yet." Um,
Like this is protocol?
yeah, like they should be. And so then Wilhelmy says, "Spray her," because she's yelling at them. She's so Wilhelmy just decides to do it again. He sprays her in the forehead and then right in the eyes, and then shuts the car door. And she sits in the car for about 10 minutes. It could have killed her if she'd
Yeah,
had
yeah,
an attack or something. She might not
yeah.
have. It was horrifying.
Mhm.
So she is suing personally because now in Colorado there is a new civil rights statute that actually allows people to sue police officers personally for excessive force.
Good.
So she's suing Wilhelmy Yoshimiya, and another officer who was there too, Brianna Ragsdale, of using excessive force, saying that she posed no threat to the officers because she didn't,
Right.
handcuffed in the car when they pepper sprayed her, and she was clearly experiencing extreme emotional distress.
Yeah.
Had to be treated by the paramedics eventually.
Mhm.
The police are not commenting on this, of course.
Yeah.
Why? Why would they? Um, but it's horrifying. And this young woman has now. Oh, the other issue that happened is that one of the officers touched her thigh, and when he touched her thigh, she freaked out and screamed, "Don't touch my leg." Well, she had been sexually assaulted not long before this happened.
Oh.
And that's why she was upset. She was talking to her boyfriend. She was really, really upset. And then the police came in, and boy, did they make it worse.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There was a bystander that filmed the whole thing and yelled at the police that they were taking things too far, and they need to stop. And,
Mhm.
of course, they just continue abusing people because this is what
Mhm.
apparently the police do. Um,
Unbelievable.
yeah. So one of the officers told her to calm down and take some deep breaths, because when someone's having a full on panic attack, that works not.
Yeah.
Just it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Um, so I am really pleased that she's suing. She has every right
Yeah.
to.
Absolutely.
If she doesn't win this, I'll be shocked,
Mhm.
you know? Um,
It's so
apparently,
troubling to me that that just was their protocol answer.
right. Has she been sprayed? Why did she need to be sprayed? You know?
Frankly, if she was cuffed, did oh, I guess, but I have a couple of questions. Was she ever actually arrested?
Ultimately, yes, they arrested her for obstruction. You know, obstruction of them arresting her for nothing.
Uh-huh.
And she pled guilty for it with a withheld judgment, so it didn't go
Uh-huh.
anywhere. She was released. They took her to the police station after the paramedics released her. She wasn't there very long, and her family came and got her, and she was released
Mhm.
that night.
Sure.
So it didn't really go anywhere, um, other than to just traumatize the holy shit out of this already traumatized teenager.
Mhm. Yep.
So apparently, Colorado Springs Police Department has had some problems with use of force prior to this.
Ah.
In 2019, officers shot and killed at least 5 people, including a 19-year-old young man who police shot in the back as he was running away.
Mm. My God.
That shooting was a huge deal, and the family settled for nearly $3 million in a lawsuit over that. So clearly, they've had some issues prior,
Mhm.
because why anybody thought doing this to a teenage kid was a good idea, I just,
Yeah.
yeah. So now the police are saying that they're committed to a number of reforms, including its auditing its use of force training. Maybe
Ha!
they should take out the part where they make pepper spray mandatory.
Yeah.
Just a thought. And so we'll see what happens with her lawsuit. I mean, ultimately, I hope she gets um, millions of dollars. I hope she gets
Me
millions
too.
of dollars, because what
Me
the
too.
hell?
Yep. No, what the hell indeed. The fact that this stuff is just allowed and treated as commonplace has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is through litigation, obviously.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and the fact that in Colorado, you can now sue an officer directly for their
yeah.
behavior and their choices. You think about some of the cases we've covered in the last couple of years.
Mm,
If the officer themselves had been liable,
things would have been a
that's
whole lot different.
yeah.
Yep.
When they don't have that protection,
Mhm.
it's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
So, all our best to Amara. I
Yeah.
honestly hope she gets a shit ton of money. She deserves it. And hopefully, the thing that makes me really sick, though, is that I'm pretty sure nobody lost their job over this.
Yeah.
And so, are those
Yep.
officers still cops? I don't know, because it was 2 years ago.
Mhm.
But should they be?
Right. Are they still
If,
handcuffing teenagers and
yeah, pepper spraying
terrorizing them and
people in the back of a police car? Like, yeah.
potentially violating their rights and
Mhm.
yeah,
Well,
no.
and just traumatizing this girl. My God, she's already been through a hell of a lot. And then now
Mhm.
she's got this trauma to deal with too.
Yeah.
Yeah, not okay. Not
No.
okay.
Not in any way.
No. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know how the
Mhm.
lawsuit pans out. Katie, I know you're going to wrap it up for us on this episode with WTF News.
I am. Gonna introduce you to this bundle of joy right here.
Oh boy, is
Mhm.
is that one of those spitting hoods?
Oh no.
Mm.
No, no. It's a beekeeper's outfit.
See, I was wondering. That was one of the two.
Her name is Rory Woods.
Mm.
And this happened in Massachusetts, in Hadley, Massachusetts, on
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, October 12th. Well, Rory was being evicted from her home.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't taking that very well.
Mm-hmm.
So when the authorities arrived to serve the eviction notice, she went ahead and she had a bunch of people really riled up about this, that she's being treated really unfairly. And I don't know all of the details of her eviction, so I can't really
Mm-hmm.
speak to that. But she had people in the community that were very riled up and were there protesting when the police arrived to essentially make her leave the premises.
Mhm.
Well, she came barreling up, pulling in an SUV, pulling a trailer full of beehives, and was dressed in protective gear, obviously,
Mhm.
and jumped out of the truck and started shaking the hives open and unleashing hundreds of bees on the officers.
Oh, geez.
hmm So people are running, screaming. There's total pandemonium. Some of the
Right?
officers were allergic.
Right. You can never know.
Yep. Several people were stung. And when someone said to her, "What are you doing? People here are allergic to bees," she said, "Oh, you're allergic? Good." That wasn't good for her.
No.
She is facing multiple assault and battery charges for doing so.
Wow. That is a pretty specific way to
Yeah,
protest your eviction. Like, where did the bees come from?
not sure. And also, that really sucks for the bees.
Yeah, that's incredibly disruptive
hmm
for those hives.
And she easily could have killed somebody, depending on somebody's level of allergy. One person did have to be sent to the hospital and was treated and released. But she also unleashed that on her whole neighborhood, not just the officers that were there,
Yeah,
who definitely did not deserve this, but also on everybody else.
yeah.
It seems as though she's been really, really challenging,
Mhm.
and she feels to me a little like some of the other people we've seen recently that want to be sovereign citizens or some other
Um,
level of I don't have to listen to you kind of stuff.
rules
Laws are
don't
for other
apply.
people. Yeah, that
Mhm.
kind of routine. But anyway, thank goodness everybody's okay. But yeah, she's getting slapped with multiple assault charges for doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phew. Yikes. Well,
So there you have it.
note to
Don't
self.
do that. Yeah.
But I mean, she must have been a beekeeper or something. I mean, where would
Well,
you
she
even
must
have
have. She had gear and she had
access?
bees. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like I would know where to go, if I wanted to get back at somebody with a hive of bees. Like, that's really bizarre.
Well, where we live, I mean, you could pull up, there's beehives all over in farmers' fields,
Right.
You
But I
could
mean,
potentially go load some up, except for that they weigh hundreds of pounds if they
yeah,
were full, but also, well, that would be theft as well. But, and maybe they were her hives, I don't know. But still, for that to be your modality,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
guessing she felt like that was an organic way to go, that she'd just run them off and buy herself some more time. But it didn't really
Yes.
work out that way because they still arrested her
Yeah.
and she still got evicted and now she has a bunch of charges. So terrible plan.
Mhm. Just yeah, not a good plan all the way around. No
No.
kidding. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Very sweet. Yeah. Okay, well, this is our Monday episode. We do
Yeah.
have, 2 more coming this week, plus our live streams, so
Mhm.
stay tuned for, lots more great true crime, and you know what? We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.